Hello and welcome to this video where we'll come into security and database hacking. This is for educational purposes so that you should learn about SQL injection, not to do malicious things. Instead, you will learn about it so that you can protect against SQL injection. Know how it works and what to do to protect against it. We'll work with Python to connect with Postgres database. And our Postgres database is run through Docker Compose. If you haven't seen that video, go to the video before where I show you how to set up Postgres with Docker Compose. So we have our Postgres database run locally with Docker, and then we will insert data into it with Python so that we have a connection there. And I will try to modularize Python code so that you get to practice that as well. I'll show you a way of writing SQL queries, not directly in Python, in SQL scripts, and we'll read it into Python. So it sounds like there's a lot going on, but it will be much clearer later on when we have started. And when this structure is in place, we will try to manipulate with SQL queries. So we'll try to use inputs, do some injections, for example, log into a page. And so we will try to simulate that and also use SQL injection to sabotage the database. This will be really fun. So we'll move on to Visual Studio Code. To create a database in Postgres, so I have used the PSQL to got into Postgres now in my Docker Compose. To do this is just to do create a database iscream like this, and now I create a database. So \l, we can see \l, and we can see iscream, our database, right? And I can do \c to iscream. And I'm connected to this database, and \dn, we can see there's a public schema, \dt, we don't have any relations yet. Okay, that's fine. So let's run this script now. So let's run Python connect postgres.py, and we can see that we get an error. What is the error? It's another error than before, and that is good. So it says something with SQL Alchemy, not an executable object. Okay, so this one, it needs to have text. And this is something new in SQL Alchemy 2, and that it is required. This one will have support for something called bind parameters, which is very important that we'll use to protect against SQL injection. So let's run now again. And now you can see, if I run this again, you can see, yes, I get the data here, right, from the iscream. Okay, so now we have the connection done. So after the connection, we will have another utility here that I will call readsql.py. And in readsql.py simply is like this. So from pathlib, pathlib import path. And then we will have SQL path equals to path, then the file dot parent, and then into an SQL folder. Okay, then you might think, oh, there's no SQL folder. Then just create one, make clear SQL. And now we have an SQL folder, and inside there I will have my SQL scripts. So I will have this utils function, this def read SQL file, and then I will have SQL file name. So basically I will put in the SQL path and then concatenate with the SQL file name. So that we can whip open SQL path, no, not SQL, SQL path / SQL file name. I want to have a read here as SQL file. And then return SQL file.read, basically. So think about what this does. Well, we create our SQL scripts in SQL folder, And this one, we can use this read SQL file in order to read this into Python so that we don't need to write all the SQL syntax or all the SQL code inside of Python, write them into different modules and different scripts, right? So in the SQL, let's do like this code SQL / let's say, what do I want? I want to have a create user .sql. Okay, I save this one and you can see we have a create user here, and I'll just copy in the code. So you don't need to see me write the SQL code here. So basically what this does, we create a table called users, and then we'll insert a lot of data. And the data is basically, okay, we have a username and we have a password. So we have username and password, and we'll try to make a very naive login system. Okay, so based on this one, let's see, create users now. So code create users.py. So this basically is very simple. So we will do like this: from connect postgres, import connect postgres, because we need that. And from SQL Alchemy, we will need to have text in order to run SQL queries. So then we have from read SQL, import read SQL file, and then if done the name equals to thunder main, and then we'll do this. Let's see. We will create user SQL equals to read SQL file, create user.sql. Just like that. So let's run this, print it out. So create user SQL. What do we get here? I run this one. Oh, sorry. I run it with not that one, because when I run it normally I get into this Python shell, which actually I got into Docker, so it doesn't really work. So I need to use Python here. So Python create users.py. And you can see when I run this file, we see just the SQL code. Okay. So the SQL code, we will use this to actually run the SQL so that we can run it towards the database, right? So then we need to connect to the database. So with connect postgres.connect as con. And now we'll do con.execute text, and I want to put in my SQL text. And then I need to do con.commit in order to get this into Postgres. Okay, just like that. So I run this one. Yeah, I think it worked, right? Oh no, yeah, same mistake. I run it here. So I need to be here. Run up button, click. Yeah, that one ran it. So now I will do \dt. Actually, in eScream, I don't see anything. Yeah, I see our users here. Okay, so select star from users. Yeah, it works. So you can see all the users and all their passwords. Okay, so now I've inserted a lot of data into this database. So let's continue to actually create a login now. Code user login.py. Oh, I'm inside of PSQL there. Code user login.py. Save this one, and now we'll create a simple login. So from connect Postgres, import connect Postgres. From SQL Alchemy, import text, and username. I want it to be input their username, and then I will have to have password, enter password. So we prompt the user to enter its username and its password. And then we will do, let's see, with connect postgres.connect as con, and then we will do like this: result equals to con.execute text. And if we just do like this, I'll show you: select star from users, and then I will do like this: print results. And if I run this one, I clicked away. Click terminal here, terminal. Let's see. Type on user login and some username, type in something. All right, the result. We need to do like this also. Dot fetch all. Okay. So now I'll run this one, and you can see I will get a list, because the fetch all gives me back a list of the tuples, right? So that is basically what it does. So we have a list of tuples because each row is represented as a tuple. So then the idea is that the list is empty when we don't get anything back, and the list has something when we get something back. So what I could do is that if results, so if we have something, then we can do like this: print login success, and then I'll have another print you want. Okay, and then just very simple else print another failure. Okay, so then we need to construct our query to be a little bit smart now, or not so smart, but we want to have the user and the password. They need to match in order for us to make a login, right? So basically, we will get some information back when we have both username and password. So select star from users where username equals to, here I do f string here, so username, and let's see, and password equal to password, like this. Let's see, password. Okay. So this means that when the username and password matches something in our database, then we will get some information back. We will get that row back, basically. And if we have something there, and then we have logged in success. And if we don't have, it's another failure. Okay, so let's run this one. Not here. We need to run it here. Okay, so username, for example, if we take some blah, 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 and then something else, then it's another failure. I run it again. And now I will pick Alice. And let's cheat a little bit. Pass 1, 2, 3. Login success. Cool. Run it again. Alice. And I will do another password that is obviously fake. Not work. So another failure. Okay, so in order to hack this one, we will use SQL to, let's say that it's quite simple if you actually know that the SQL statement looks like this. However, that is not certain, but let's assume that you can try several different types of injections, and if you figure out that it somehow looks like this, or you can just try and see that it works or not. So if it looks like this, then let's copy this one to show you. So we will put in something. So when I run this script, I run this one. So enter username. So if we enter something, for example, we enter Alice, then this will look like this. We have Alice. And when we enter a password, pass 1, 2, 3, then we will have pass 1, 2, 3 like this. And it will be successful, right? However, we could get something like this if we run this again. And instead of just writing Alice, we write a quote here. So what will happen? So I will have another quote. So this means that this quote has ended. And I could write like this, or 1 equals 1. So that means that we have quote or 1 equals 1. And actually there's one quote too much, right? We have one quote too much, so we need to remove this quote here. So remove this quote. So you have an or and in SQL, in the and take precedence before the. So this means that it will do like this. I check that is the username and password, so that this will obviously be false first, but then, so it's false, and then we have or, which will make it into true, because 1 equals 1 is obviously true, right? So this will evaluate to true. So let's run this one. Password, I can write whatever. Another failure. Let's see why. Okay, I've got it now. If I run this again, we do like this. We know that there's a user called Alice. So Alice, and then quote. So this means that we have Alice here, and then we have the quote, and then we have or 1 equals 1. So this will work because now you have select star from user where username equals Alice. And then you have or 1 equals 1, which is true. So that you actually get back before you didn't get back when we didn't add a username that actually existed. So this one, I write whatever password and login success. You can eat all ice cream you want. Cool. So let's try, for example, we don't know that we don't know the users. So let's just try anyway. So let's run this one. And what you could do is like this. Quote or 1 equals 1, and then we comment out the rest. And then I write whatever, and it will work. Login success. Why is that? Because when I do like this, I add a quote or 1 equals 1. So this is true. So where true, right? Everything else is commented out. So select star from users where this is true. So this is true. We'll get everything from users. We have data, and then we get into login. So if we go into our SQL here in Postgres, if I run this one, select star from users where username equals this one, or 1 equals 1, then we'll get everything from the users, right? So exactly, we get everything from the users. So this means that we have broken the system. And another thing we could do, if I run this one, we could also do like this. If we want to sabotage, we could do quote. So if we do quote, we come to here and we could comment out. So we have dash dash in the end. So quote, and then we have semicolon, drop table users, semicolon, dash dash. So what this means is that we will have ended this one, and we will have semicolon here. So this statement is over. And then we do drop table. Let's see, we do drop table users, semicolon, and then we have dash to comment out the rest. We have, if I run this one, and we can see there's a failure because in Postgres, it doesn't allow to run several queries. However, in some other database systems, it's possible. For example, DuckDB allows that, and also in MySQL, it allows that. But now it's not because Postgres don't allow it. Okay, so now when we know how to hack this system, let's create so that it's safe. So what you should do is that we take another one, user login, copy, and I will just call it user login secure. Okay, so it is quite easy. We just need to do something called bind parameters. So here, instead of using an f string, which is quite dangerous, we remove the f string. And instead of writing like this, we have username. We have a colon username so that we know that we will bind this one. Colon password that we will bind this one. Okay, so this username and this password, they will be bound. And they will be bound to this dictionary here. Username is the username, which comes from here. And the password is password. Just like that. So what this does in the background is that it sends the SQL Alchemy, tells the database driver to make parameterized statements, and it sends the data separately, and the data will be treated as string literals. So this means that they will be treated as strings, and it won't run any SQL queries. So this is a safer, secure version. So user login secure. Okay, so how do I hack this? I need to do like this, quote, or quote, or let's see. It was actually easier when I wrote it out like before. Let me go into this one. Quote, and we have or 1 equals 1, and then we could do comment out the rest, right? So this would mean we have or 1 equals 1, and then we comment out the rest. Okay, so I run this one. Another failure. Okay, good. I rerun this one, and I'll try Alice, and we could have or 1 equals 1, like that. Yeah, exactly, because then we'll have the next quote here. Yes, and password could be whatever, another failure. Yes, it doesn't work. Great. So this is the way to do it. So you have parameterized bind, so that they send the data in separately, and it comes in as a string literal. Okay, so with this you have seen how to connect into Postgres and create tables, and then we try to make a very simple login system. And with this we could actually go in and try some SQL injections so that we could hack this database. And after that we use the parameterized bind, so to make it secure. Because we get the string literals, they send the data in separately instead of directly injecting SQL code. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye.